Hello everybody, welcome to Comprehensive Outdoors. I'm Jeff Hale. This channel is made to help you become a more comprehensive outdoors person, fisher, or hunter. And this is a follow-up episode to the last one we did on cooking foil packets on a hobo stove. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about how do you construct a hobo stove, what are the benefits of it, and why I like to use it. All right, let's start with a brief overview of a hobo stove. First of all, a hobo stove or a coffee can stove is made from a coffee can or a large can. The other part of making a hobo stove or a coffee can stove is that it's super basic. It's simple. In fact, people all over the world for many years, maybe 100 years or longer, have been making fires in pots or in cans, and that's what they've used as their primary way to cook. So this is just basic. But overall, a hobo stove is a coffee can that has holes in the bottom of it. It's got holes in the top, and that's it. That's literally your most basic coffee can stove. If you just punched holes in the bottom and holes in the top, put wood in here and lit it on a fire, you could put a pot on there, you could cook on a grill, that's it. But part of it is the fun is making it your own style, and the other part is doing it for free. I've seen a couple videos where people make hobo stoves or coffee can stoves, but then they say it cost them $20 because they went to the store and they bought this and they bought that and they got to get new bolts and special tools, and I'm like, wait, that kind of defeats the whole purpose, right? What's cool about this is it's cheap, it's free, and you should be able to go into your garage and make your hobo stove just based on whatever you have laying around, and that's what's part of the fun. On this particular stove, this is my stove. Let me go through the parts. So I kind of made it my own. You'll notice that along the base of the coffee can, there's holes. And of course, I made those holes with a can opener, right? Or you could use a screwdriver, or you could use a drill. There's a million different ways you can do it. So it doesn't, that's also the part of it, is what tools do you have available? So I just took it and I went like this and I created them, and then I put one space in between and went to the next hole, and then I put one space in between into the next hole, and one space in between, and I put them all around the bottom. I also did the same thing to the top, and why I did this is when you have a big fire cooking, and if you want to place a pot right on top of this, you have to have a place for the flames to come out. And so this is your pot stand. A couple other things I did to make some improvements was I made an ash guard. And the ash guard is just a piece of metal with holes drilled into it that sits in the hobo stove slightly off the bottom, like 2 or 3 inches off the bottom. And what this does is it catches the wood, and small fine pieces of ash or particulate matter can fall through. But what it does is it keeps all the wood in the ash from falling all the way to the bottom and blocking the air intake on these holes. So what I did was I just took what I had laying around. I took a bolt here that slides in and out, right? It slides in and out. I put one here, and I put one here. So there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And when you push them inside, you have 3 bolts that make a little platform. And that little platform is what this rests on. Now, what did I make this out of? Well, I got a second coffee can, and I cut the bottom of it out. After I cut the bottom of it out, well, it was the same diameter as the coffee can, and I couldn't fit it in here. So I just took a piece of pliers, and you can see the pliers. I bent the edges all around the first ridge. So the tops and the bottoms of these coffee cans have these little ridges in them like this. I just took and I bent down all the way around the first ridge, and I decreased the diameter overall by maybe 1/4 inch, which was enough to let it fit down inside the hobo stove and rest on the 3 little bolts that I have in there. So that was one modification, and that again allows the wood and the ash, most of the ash, to stay up above the intake holes, because if you had big chunks of ash and wood falling, eventually it would block these, and it could block the air intake. So that's one thing I did. Works pretty well. The other thing you'll see on a lot of people's hobo stoves is they will just take and they will cut out a chunk, and they do that for air intake, and they also do it as a place to feed sticks in. I like that idea, but I wanted to go to the next level. I actually wanted something that I could open it and allow the airflow to come in, and I could put sticks in, but if I wanted to slow it down, I could close the airflow off. So again, guess what this is? This is the top to a soup can. That's it. How did I cut this hole? I cut it with some tin snips. I just went around in a circle. I've also heard of people using a hole saw on a drill and going and cutting a hole in there. Or you can make a rectangle. And then what else did I do? Well, I attached it to this with a screw. Just a screw that goes in with a little bit of a bolt on the backside. And then down here, I made a latch. And the latch holds that tight in place. So when I'm traveling and I have all my wood and everything in there, it's not like this and the wood can't fall out. So that's a couple of alterations that I've made. The only additional thing that I used besides bottom of another coffee can, a couple of nuts and bolts that I had laying around in my garage, a can opener, a pair of tin snips, a soup can top, right? I just found this little clip laying around. I just put a bolt in it, right? The only other thing I had was this. And I had found this grill. It came off a little tiny barbecue. And I grab it, and it fits nicely over the top so that if I wanted to, I can put my foil packet here, or I can put a frying pan here, or I can actually put a steak or a hot dog right on top of there and I can grill. Let's talk about why I like to use the Hobo stove versus a Whisper Light or perhaps a propane stove, like a Coleman propane stove. Okay, first off, why do I like a tin can Hobo stove? Well, why would I like it or why would other people like it? Well, first of all, we've talked about Coleman propane stoves and we've talked about Whisper Lights. You might not have a Whisper Light. You might not have a Coleman stove, but you can find a coffee can. That's reason number one. Reason number two, completely and totally free. Reason number three, the fuel is free. You can run this thing 100% on just sticks and pieces of wood that you find out at a campsite. You know, you go down a dirt road and park and you're gonna go fish or hunt or whatever, and you come back, there's always sticks laying around. So the fuel is free. Reason number four, the versatility of the tin can or Hobo stove. Like I said before, I can put a pot directly on here and I can boil water. That's basically what I'm gonna do with my Whisper Light. With my Coleman stove, a lot of times I'm using a pan to fry things. Guess what? You can put a pan right on here and you can fry things. What does the Hobo stove have over a Whisper Light or a propane stove? Well, if you get one of these, now you got the option to grill. Now you can grill meat. Reason five, portability. It's so nice for me to take all my fuel, my paper, whatever it is, jam it in here, put the lid on this, and put it in the back of my pickup, right? It's all in here. I don't have extra cans of propane. I don't have extra bottles of fuel. It just sits in there. And whenever I'm ready, take it off, pull my wood out, put it back in and however I want to stack it, light it on fire, adjust the vent, and now I have a cook stove. Reason six, I don't really care that much about it. I don't care if it gets beat up. I don't care if it gets wet. I don't care if it rusts out. It was free and it was just made from stuff that I was gonna recycle anyway. So yeah, if you use these things a lot, it's probably gonna wear out after 2 or 3 years, but it's so easy to make another one. You literally can make a tin can / coffee can / Hobo stove in 15, 20 minutes, depending on how elaborate you wanna make it. So I would recommend that you go ahead and find some coffee cans. I would get 2 so that you can cannibalize one to use parts for the other, and maybe a soup can. Go into your garage and see what you got. Make one, take it with you, try cooking on it. It's a lot of fun.